And so now they're sitting up there trying to make you feel guilty for growing. You changed. You ain't like you used to be. No, I'm not, and I ain't ashamed. I'm growing. Why don't you expose yourself to some things and open yourself up to some divine opportunity? Please hear this. You know, a very recent example of what I'm just saying. Everyone was saying, those of you who keep up with basketball, that the Atlanta Hawks could not beat the Orlando Magic. Was no way they was going to do that. Superman wasn't going to let them. Well, the Atlanta Hawks, in spite of what the experts said, expanded their mind and won the series. I was sitting up listening to, caught some of the sports people talking for a minute, and they were sitting there talking about how there's, okay, well, they got past the Orlando Magic, but they definitely can't get past Chicago. This is going to be a sweep. You know, if their offense steps up, then Chicago's defense is going to lock them down. If their defense steps up, then their offense is going to lock them down. There's no way possible that the Atlanta Hawks can deal on the same court with the Chicago Bulls. They go in there last night in their home stadium with their crowd and whooped them. See, when do we get to a place that we understand and expand our mind to the capability and the possibility that yes, I can, even though everybody else is saying you cannot? Because once you expose yourself to the idea or the concept that expands your mind, and no longer, maybe 2 years ago the Hawks would have done that, but I'm a new team now. Tell your neighbor, maybe 2 years ago I might have done that, but I'm a whole new person now. I got more word in me than I ever had before. Do you think I come up here on Tuesday just to get fat in the word? No, I come to get something and then work it. Now please hear this. Please hear this. What's this? And get it real comfortable. We have to start saying yes to life. Watch this. Just say yes. Say it one more time. Yes. Once more. Yes. Just bask in the aura of that. One more time. Yes. All right, now watch this. Now just say no. Seriously, did you see what happened? That's what the Bible says. Everything in God is what? When you say no, it ain't, you settle stuff that God ain't settled. You have to start saying yes to your dreams, yes to your unfolding future. Say yes to your destiny in God. You must say yes to your potential and realize it. And in essence, make it happen. Here's Paul, the author of Philippians, saying, and not that I have already obtained. Not that I have counted myself to have apprehended. But one thing I do. I'm going to forget those things which are behind me and reach forward to those things which are ahead of me. Now, watch this. Repeat this after me. This is my season. This is my day. Now I want to push this even further. Say, this is not just my year. This is my decade. Y'all going to get that in a minute. I think the reason why we get jacked up is because we just try to have a good year. I mean, if we get past just trying to have a good day. I don't know about you, but I think I'm in line for a good decade. Because if I can get it going for a good 10 years, you can't stop me. If I can get ahead of 10 years, touch somebody and say, this is my decade. And so immediately when you said that, you opened a yes in your spirit. You have now expanded the ability for God to bless you because you ain't trying to just get to 2012. So you can start all over. That's the reason why every time a new year, you start a new resolution. When somebody say, well, 2000, what's your resolution? You need to say, I'll let you know in 2020. Right now, I am just going higher and higher and deeper and deeper. This is my decade. Now watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. He said, this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, I'm reaching forward to those things which are ahead. Let's press towards the upward goal to the prize of God. I know you can, but I don't believe your neighbor can say that they have done, if I stop right here and look at my life from this point backwards, that I have accomplished everything I possibly could have accomplished in that time I've been living. There ain't nobody in here can say that. When we look back, we kind of say, I've been wasting time. So right now, what I want to ask you to ask yourself a question, you might want to write it out. You need to figure out, what is it that would give you and your life a sense of value? What would give me a sense of value? What can I say that for this cause I was born? I'm standing here. I believe that what I'm standing here, and the reason why I can do what I do, because this is what I was called to do. For this cause I was born. What is it that you know that God has given you a higher call in, a purpose and destiny in Christ, a place to stretch to become? Set your high goal. Now, the challenge in doing that, because I'm almost finished, the challenge in doing that is that when you do it, even with myself, as I'm moving, I believe I'm in God's order, I believe I'm where I'm supposed to be, but all the time I'm growing, I'm stretching, I'm becoming. So I start thinking bigger things. I start thinking bigger things, et cetera, et cetera. And while I'm thinking of those bigger things and I get excited about, just like you'll get excited about stuff while you're sitting in church and you can hear it and all of that, and all of a sudden, and you think you could leap over walls and run through troops until you get home Sunday. And somehow this nebulous reality hits you. Because this inner voice say, child, we done been happy before. Bishop was very motivational, wasn't he? But you know, you can't do that. I mean, you don't need nobody to talk to. Talking about, I'm all alone. You talk to yourself. If people saw you by yourself, they'd lock you up. You sitting up, one side of you is progressive and the other side is telling you can't do it. Because when you start hearing that inner voice, the inner voice will start trying to tell you, how you going to do that? How you going to figure that? How you going to do that? How you going to make that happen? You don't worry about it. Does that sound crazy? The first thing you got, act like Mary. Mary's sitting up here now, here comes the Spirit and talking about, angel talking about, you're going to have a child. And you ain't going to have it like everybody else. The Holy Spirit going to come up upon you and all of this stuff. And Mary's sitting there, okie doke. Now Mary had to make a choice. Mary had to make a choice whether she believed God. And so, I then God, if you said it, I'm available. Do it unto me according to your word. So if you're speaking this to me to stretch higher, then you're going to show me how to do it. So all you're actually asking me is if I can give you a yes. Because if I can give you a yes, it releases something that you place in my spirit, because eternity was placed in my heart. And I'm now opening myself up to the possibilities of God. And with God, all things. But you'll never learn that with a no. I'm going somewhere. Just stay with me. What's this? Because if you can say yes, in your yes, you have the ability to attract people, develop plans and strategies, and get whatever you need to make happen. So as soon as you say yes, things start happening. Why would God send you help on a no? God's still trying to get you to accept the big thing he ordained for you to do, and you're still sitting up there fighting it. So even if help came, you wouldn't recognize it. Help say, come on, I'm going to get you there. You're, no, I'm waiting. You recognize the people and the circumstance and the situations and the plans that God lays down for you, just as soon as you say, God, go ahead and be God. I believe you. I feel you inside of me, and you'll fill in the details. In your inner conversation, there is something always trying to talk us out of what God has ordained for us. Things like, you ain't got enough education. You don't have enough money. You don't have the proper contacts. You don't travel in the right circles. The inner conversation will cause you to take God's wonderful gifting and take it to the grave with you. Dr. Miles Monroe always states, he says, the wealthiest place in the world is not the gold or the diamond mines in Africa, etc. The wealthiest places in the world are graveyards. And he says it's a graveyard only because there are people who are buried there that have songs they never sung, inventions they never invented, cures to sickness that was never ever put in a drugstore. There were things that God put in them to be answers to situations today, and they died with it. So they took their greatest ideas to the grave. Let me give you a few reasons why we won't stretch and move towards the mark of the high calling, so I can be out here by 8:30. Watch this. Number one, fear. Say fear. We're born with two kinds of fear. The fear, number one, of falling. And then the second fear we're born with is the fear of a loud noise. That's the only two fears we come with. Other fear we learned. What's this? Please note, courage, I want you to hear this, I'm going to say it twice, is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than your fears. There is something more important than what I fear. So if I'm more than a conqueror with courage, I'm not going to let fear paralyze me, because there's something bigger than me being afraid. What? And so what happens is, whatever you're shooting for, you don't see big enough to overcome what you're afraid of. So let me say this. So maybe what you're shooting for ain't what God ordained. Because if Jesus didn't want to go to the cross, he didn't want to go. Agonized in the garden, he said, and then he says, he despised the shame of the cross, yet for the joy that lied beyond. The brother was a little scared. He was sweating blood. He was saying, look, Lord, if can you pass this cup to somebody else? Nevertheless, I'm going to do this because I see something bigger than this moment I'm living in right now. And even though I'm going to go through some horrific pain and all of that, what I'm going to get is much better than me sitting up here in this garden wasting time. Some of you would still be in the garden 2,000 years still asking God, can we do this another way? Watch this. The problem is, Bishop Jakes wrote a book, and he said, can you stand to be blessed? We know how to be jacked up. We're just afraid to be successful. There are so many of us that feel like if we do succeed, I can't handle it. I can't handle what comes with it, and a lot comes with it. Next, many people don't reach their goals because they become comfortable. The Living Bible translation, Philippians 3:13, says, I have not achieved it, but I focus on this one thing. When we get satisfied, ladies and gentlemen, we stop growing. We don't want much out of life. We'll stop learning, stop pushing ourselves. George Bernard Shaw said this. He said, success is to finish one's business on earth like a male spider who was killed by the female spider the moment he has succeeded in his courtship. Which means once the male spider has now impregnated, the female kills it, because that's all he was